All right, what's going on? This is Kevin Holt here with BallHerHoops. Back at it again. Been a while, 2 weeks to be exact. But we've just been busy with basketball, of course. AU season is rolling around. School ball is kind of ending up, but been a lot busy trying to get to games, trying to watch games, film for myself, for my school, and just being busy as a, a father. That's always my main priority is to watch after my little girl. But back to basketball. This is Fire 15 rankings for January 30th. Basketball has been really sparing so far. Uh, there's been COVID, there's been crazy weather with the snow and ice that it's kind of cut a lot of basketball out of some people's season. Uh, we missed out on a chance at a great matchup with Lake Norman and Myers Park, and I really hate that because that's a game I was going to end up actually going to because my team didn't have a game, but sometimes those things happen. Uh, but everybody has 2 weeks left in the season. Public school has 2 weeks before they start conference. Private school has 2 weeks before they start state playoffs. So that's going to be a big 2 weeks for everyone. I know, for instance, my team has about 6 or 7 games that we have to play before we get to the state playoffs and we have that meeting. There will be a lot of games that will be big matchups that will be games that you have to pay attention to because seeding is starting to be the biggest thing, especially with public school. Not everybody makes the playoffs. Private school, you get away with it. One of the biggest things with private school is you don't want to have to travel so far, so your seeding does matter. So one of the things that I will start doing is shorts, which are quick update videos, maybe two a week. I really think it might be like either Tuesday night or maybe Wednesday morning, Saturday mornings. I think those are the best days because usually games are played on Tuesdays and Fridays. But I want to do it after like we have games already, so that way you're updated and it won't just be like all the way from 2 weeks and it won't just be well, yeah, this team won 2 weeks ago, so it'll be fresh. So I want to start doing that, and then of course we're trying to do a bracketology episode. Got a couple coaches locked in that said they'll help with this, and I think that'll be big. Just want to say that I'm only going to do the 4A, 3A, and 2A for public school and only the Western region. Uh, and then private school for a bracket. I might do 3A, 2A, and one on private school. It's a lot less teams. Then, of course, public school is dominated with like so many schools that it's kind of crazy to do all of them. But that's what my next goal is. We'll be working on that in the next few weeks. Private schools probably not next Sunday, but 2 Sundays from now when the season over and they have the meeting. And then we'll do the public school once the conference tournament is over. So getting into the Fire 15, it's a lot of really good teams that may not make this list. You got Independence, you have Carson, you have Cox Mill, Morrisville, they've been really good. There's a couple other teams that may not be on this list, but that doesn't mean that they are not good teams. They're just on the honorable mention. Providence. Providence has been really good. Not a lot of losses on their team. Delaney Hill's been special for that team. When she's healthy, that team goes as she goes. But these are my Fire 15, top 15 teams according to myself. And of course, this is just opinionated. Take it as such. But number 15, a new team to the Fire 15. This team is riding a 7 game win streak. It is Marvin Ridge. They're brand new to the 515, never been on here before, but they're on a hot streak, and they've beaten some teams that have been on the 515 before, and they're starting to get attention of other schools and other programs. And if I'm not mistaken, they're a 4A school, so I don't know about playoff wise what they'll do, but I know as far as like them being a good team and they're ahead of their conference, I think they're really good. They have a big game against Hickory Ridge, Marvin Ridge, Hickory Ridge, on February 2nd. I think that'll be a really good game. Going and speaking of Hickory Ridge, they're number 14. Got a message the other day. They're 12-4. Marvin Ridge is actually 15-4. Excuse me for not saying that record. But Hickory Ridge is 12-4. Got a message from someone the other day They were just talking about how well Hickory Ridge shoots the ball. And I agree, Hickory Ridge is a team that lights up the scoreboard, especially with Alyssa Lewis. Alyssa Lewis is one of those players that she leads in every category except for I think it was either blocks or steals, but she leads in every other category. So the type of player she is huge. They have a huge game against Lake Norman coming up. That's going to be one of the premier games in our area. It's on Tuesday, February 1st. I think that'll be a game to decide conference. They'll play them twice in the next 2 weeks. So that's going to be a really big game for them. At number 13, I have Northwest Cabarrus. They're 11-1. I think they're a really good team. They continue their winning ways. And they're a 3A team that could be considered a contender. And definitely for that Western region, they have a big game Tuesday against Carson in a battle of who will be top of the conference. This will be an important matchup for them. At number 12, I have Newton Conover. Newton Conover is 14-2. As I've said many times, it'll be hard. It's going to be a hard bracket in 2A, period. But there are so many good teams in 2A that it's kind of crazy. But this is one of the best teams. With Cassie Gaddis and Emma Fox on this team, they are ready to show that they are should be considered one of the better teams. They're at the top of the conference, and they will have to beat East Burke to win the championship for the conference. But I think they're very capable. East Burke team is really good, but they'll have a chance to play them again because I think their game was supposed to be played Saturday, but it got rescheduled Saturday or Friday, excuse me. But it got rescheduled for another time, and they haven't updated their schedule on Max Preps, so it doesn't say. But I have them at 12. Number 11, Shelby. Shelby has been one of those teams that they lost early. You lose to Myers Park, you lose to Chambers. Two of the top teams in the state, 4A. So this is a 2A team played against 4A teams early in the season, got themselves better, and now they're ready. They've been holding it down. They've 10 games straight, 10-game win streak. They're beating teams pretty good, and they got a big game against Kings Mountain Wednesday. I think when they're going to play against Kings Mountain, it's going to be a huge game. It's non-conference, but those are two teams that are close in area, so it's kind of a rivalry, but not as much. But it's going to be one of the many good games that happen this week. At number 10, 12-3, I have Lake Norman. This team has lost to some tough teams, but they have a share of their wins as well. They went down to Florida, played some big games, but their big game in conference will be against Hickory Ridge. This is a game that everybody should want to see. It's going to be very high level. It's going to be intense. All the teams in that conference with Hickory Ridge, Lake Norman, Cox Mill, Mooresville, they've been the top four teams, but these two are the top of the crop as far as like you got talent. Of course, Lake Norman is one of the more talented teams. Addison Serrani has been really big, and she's a good freshman that people should probably look at for the next 3 or 4 years. She's going to be really good over there at Cox. Sorry, not Cox Mill, but Lake Norman. But they also have Cox Mill on Monday. They'll play Cox Mill, then they'll play Hickory Ridge, then they'll play Cox Mill and Hickory Ridge again. So they can't overlook Cox Mill. Cox Mill has a solid team, and they won't be easy out. So at number 9, South Meck. South Meck is 15-2. They're a consistent team that continue to win. Their only two losses is to Winston-Salem Christian National, and then they got blew out against Myers Park. But I think they'll be a team that's still looking for that signature win. I think when they play against Audrey Kell and Olympic, they'll try to get prepared for that game against number one Myers Park. Um, I think that they will have a better showing than they did last time, and that will get them in position to actually compete for that game. I think that South Meck has a really talented team. Sonali Moss just received an offer from Catawba, which I think is huge. Catawba does a really good job recruiting our area. So congrats to her. Number 8, I have One of One Academy. I moved them up because they got another quality win versus Concord Academy. And Concord Academy is not one of those teams that you just beat. They are a really solid team. So One of One Academy has been doing really good so far this year. 22-8. It's a lot of games, 30 games already, and they'll still play some more. They got a big game against Trinity Collegiate Academy, who has star guard Keomi McMiller. If you haven't heard of her, please look her up. She's a beast. But Abby Stevenson has been great the last few games for them shooting. She has six threes against Concord Academy, and she's just been balling out really. Ella Hobbs, dominant big. You really gotta understand that she's only a sophomore and she's only getting better. Her size makes up for so much of her game, but she's really skilled and she can do so much more than just catch the ball in the paint and finish. You have to really watch her play to understand that. And number seven, I have North Mecklenburg. They're 17-2. Their two losses are to Chambers, and then they lost a game in Durham. I think it was to Hillside, if I'm not mistaken. But they continue to be the same dominant team in which they are still pushing to be the top team in their conference. Right now they're second in the conference, right behind Chambers, in which that's one of the teams they lost to, and they get to play them again on Friday. I think that's going to be a really big game. But I think they're trying to prove that they belong in this state championship consideration. Number six, I have Salisbury. They were number five last week, and because another team had a really good week, I had to move them down one spot. This team may not have big wins. Like they really don't have like the major wins. They beat Carson, but I think they're one of those teams that show they are dominant. They don't really have close games. They beat teams and they beat them good. I think if they just continue to win, I think they'll be good. In the 2A playoffs, like I said before, they're going to be one of the favorites and they're loaded. I think between them, Shelby, and Carson, not Carson Newman, um, I can't. Now my brain's going bad. But all those teams will be really good. Newton Conover, that's who it is. Newton Conover. Them three schools will be really good in the 2A division. I think that it's going to be a tough out for whoever's in that division. And honestly, it's hard to pick between those teams. Number five, I have Julius Chambers. Undefeated in conference, big game coming up against North Meck. Of course, we know the story. They've really not lost a lot of games in our area. Big loss to Myers Park earlier in the season, but since then they have found a great chemistry. I've talked to like a player on their team before. She said they just love to be around each other, and I think that's big for a team that has goals of winning a championship. When you like to be around each other, it makes such a difference, and it helps your team out to know that, oh, I can talk to you on this court, and it's okay if I kind of get on you a little bit because it's out of love, and that's big for Chambers, and I think that what make them different. That's what really makes them a different team compared to others. Um, they have North Meck, and then I think if they beat North Meck, honestly, I don't see them losing in conference anymore. The conference tournament, I think they should win that, and they should be one of the higher seeds this year. Uh, when it comes to playoffs, between them, Catholic, Myers Park, and North Meck, honestly, they are probably going to be the top teams from our area in the playoffs. Number four, I have Providence Day, 17-3. Huge win against Charlotte Catholic. They really put a foot on Catholic, and they surprised some people because it didn't seem like Catholic could be beat, honestly. And that was a big momentum booster for the Providence Day program. They took one loss before that. They lost to Cannon, and then they lost to Cannon again. But that puts them at four because of those two losses. But I think those weren't bad losses. They were by 1 point at PD and then 2 points at Cannon in a game in which they could have won, couple missed shots away from winning those games. I would love to see Cannon and PD match up again. That would be huge because I don't know if anybody else saw the crowd there, but it was really only standing room. Number three, I have Charlotte Catholic. I know Providence Day beat Catholic, but I feel like with PD losing those two games, that keeps Catholic above them. But I still believe this team has potential to cut down the nets in the state championship. Their remaining schedule is very favorable. I don't really see them losing to anybody. The closest game I might see them having is Providence until conference tournament when they have Independence or Providence. But I think Providence will give them a run, and they won't make it easy on them, especially after Providence they gave kind of a blueprint for how to beat Charlotte Catholic. At number two, riding that 10-game win streak, I got Cannon. They've landed. They're a young, talented team. They beat Providence Day twice, once away and once at home. 3 points combined. Both very good games that both teams you could tell wanted to win. This team has been well balanced, and so many players do the necessary things for them to win. I won't name individual players because there's so much talent on this team. Coach Drayford really is doing a good job of bringing that talent together and making them work as one. And that's big. That's big defensively and offensively because when you have a player that maybe comes from a different school and they're used to being in a different way, and they may not be used to how you play defense or how your offense runs, but he's getting all of them to gel. You got three transfers at least on that team that's starters. So when he was able to get that talent there, a lot of people say, "Oh, that's going to be a really good team." But then they started losing a little bit early. But when you look at their losses, they're not to cupcake teams. Like I want to say their worst loss may be to Winston-Salem Regional, and when I say worst loss, that means because that's a team that's like not better than the other teams that they've played, but they've beat some really good teams as well. So I think Cannon is right there, ready for that championship run. I think between them, Providence Day, North Raleigh Christian, I think that's going to be the three that are considered right there, and Wesleyan Christian, because Wesleyan Christian's been really good this year. So those three teams, those four teams are going to be right there at the end. I think Country Day has a fighter's chance to upset someone, but right now in that 4A private school state championship, those are the top four. And number one, I have Myers Park. Myers Park deserves this spot. They've been one of the most solid teams for a while now. At the moment, I can't think of a team that's better and or that has a better resume. They've beaten some really solid teams. They beat Chambers, Shelby, South Meck, Providence, and all the losses they have are come to teams outside of North Carolina. No losses to teams from North Carolina as of yet. I think that I hate that they didn't get to play Lake Norman, even though I know I had that as my upset. But I just really wanted to see the game. That would have been a huge game for girls basketball because Lake Norman's a really good team that's going to be in that 4A division. And Myers Park is right now the team in the 4A division. So I want to see them play against that talented team. But Myers Park deserves their flowers. They've been lights out. Every game it seems like they're getting better, and they're another team that likes to be together. They like you can hear them when they speak to each other. It's just so much positivity, and they when you have that, that's going to make your team more cohesive. It's going to make you better because you're going to want to be together. You're going to want to fight for each other. So that's why I have them at number one. And for my games of the week, there's so many high level games this week and next. This will actually be one of the harder ones. I got two. I put down two, and I put some other games of interest. So my first one is Lake Norman versus Hickory Ridge. This is for conference. I feel like these are the top two teams in their conference. Both teams are expected to beat each other. Like they feel like, oh, we're better than them. Like Lake Norman is, of course, the team that gets the most notoriety, but Hickory Ridge is not a bad team. They shoot the ball well, they play defense well, and the first matchup was canceled because of snow, and that's only building anticipation for this matchup. Um, Next, Shelby versus Kings Mountain. This will be another good one. As I said before, Shelby has the guards with Marasia Paz and the Holyfield sisters, but Kings Mountain has a duo of Sanaya Wilson, who signed to Catawba, and Kalia King. Those are both good players. They're going to be a tough game to watch. I wish I could get up there and actually see it, but it's going to be a really good game. Other games of interest, I got Chambers versus North Meck, and if you saw the first game, it was packed by end of JV girls, right at the beginning of JV boys. Charlotte Catholic versus Providence is another really good game. And then I got Northwest Cabarrus and Carson. And that is my upset of the week. Actually, I have Carson getting revenge on Northwestern Bears after the 2-point loss previously in the season. I think that'll be a big game. As Northwestern Bears has only one loss, and Carson is looking to avenge that loss that they took to Northwestern Bears early in the year. And that is it for today. I appreciate everyone that listens. Gonna make sure that I get those shorts out. We're gonna get some updates after Tuesday and then some updates after Friday. Hopefully everyone enjoys. Continue to send the positivity. I appreciate it. And I will continue to do more. But for Ball Her Hoops, I'm out. Thank you.